Friends, all hell has broken loose in Minneapolis in the last couple of weeks. We've had a tremendous amount of violence in the streets, and things do not seem to be getting any better. Today on Human Reaction, I am joined by David Rand, Kyle Mack, and Bennett, and we're going to break down everything that's been going on and all this stuff that you might have been seeing in the media cycle and all the propaganda on both sides of this issue. We're going to try to dissect it as best we can. Fellas, we got our task cut out for us here today, don't you think?
Yeah.
This is going to be a beefy episode.
Yeah.
There is a lot of different angles to take this, and we even had to cut some stuff. Like, it was just getting abnormally large for us.
Yes.
That's what she said.
No, I was looking for it.
That's what she said.
That was a pretty good one.
Trying to get a joke in. Hey, we keep it light here at Human Reaction because the news is sad and depressing and whatever. And we're going to keep
fucking scared right now. You shut up.
Exactly. We're going to keep this fun and light, even though it does involve some very unfortunate shootings. We are trying to joke it because we don't want to cry because it is like what's his face?
Like Jimmy Kimmel.
Like Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
Like all the celebrities that I'm seeing online.
Goddamn.
Jimmy Kimmel can't tell jokes, but we can.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm trembling.
I'm shaking
What was that?
right now.
What was that clip?
Van Jones.
Van Jones. Yeah.
I'm
Speaking of, I
trembling.
saw him at the airport like 3 weeks ago
Really?
Did you say hi?
in Phoenix.
Did you get his
Should
autograph?
invite him on the podcast.
No.
Okay.
All right.
He's a bit of a nothing burger. All right. So what happened in Minnesota? Tell me about it. It's everywhere. Like you can't go online without seeing it. It's a huge story for all kinds of reasons. What happened?
Yeah. Well, I guess to back up, this is, a lot has been happening with ICE protests, right? Around the country, but predominantly in Minnesota. You've got these officers coming in, they're masked. Sometimes they're not fully identified and they're accused of snatching people out of their homes and stuff like that to, detain and figure out if these people are here legally or not. Minneapolis has, of course, been the hotbed of this. Minneapolis is not foreign to violence around these sorts of social movements and issues. It seems to be like the epicenter of them. It was 2 weeks ago now, I believe, that Renee Good was shot after running into an ICE officer with her car. There's a lot of controversy around how that event went down, and now this next...
He shouldn't have been standing there.
Yep.
He should have been. He should have been in the front of the car. You remain behind the A-frame. That's the rule. That's what the training is. That's exactly. There's at least part of this is, and a lot of people have said it, but are we just not doing this right?
Right.
Is ICE over deployed and under trained? Considering that, and some more context to this, when you see this, note that these are mostly, according to people who have talked to insiders at ICE, Ken Klippenstein. It's funny, Klippenstein, because he does a lot of clips. But anyways, he's a reporter.
Can't be his real name.
It is his real name. You thought I was going to make a Jewish thing, didn't you?
No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
On this podcast?
Wasn't even. No.
I would never.
No, come on. Anyways, he makes the case that a lot of the veteran ICE guys are not doing these, right? Meaning this is a deployment. These are 3,000 ICE and Border Patrol officers who are relatively new to this position and mostly signed up under the new Trump push for more enforcement.
Right.
These aren't like your veteran ICE officers who've been on the job forever doing this kind of work, because this is not normal ICE work in many ways.
Right.
Too.
These are the guys that saw the ad on Instagram or X and signed up 3 months ago and got rushed into the field to do this work that maybe they were somewhat trained for or had an aptitude for, but aren't seasoned law enforcement officers potentially.
And the more I look at these, the more that becomes very compelling.
For sure.
There's also a lot of prison guards. I believe there's a prison guard unit that's in there too. Mm-hmm. So they're pulling people out of prisons for a lot of these.
For federal prisons, which is wild.
Right. So you have this tinderbox of a situation where there's an agitated public who is aggressing against these untrained officers in many cases. It's a recipe for disaster. The Renee Good situation, that incident was a perfect example of it. And of course, the Alex Pretti shooting as well, which is the more recent incident we're going to talk about, was the latest altercation that went very wrong.
Yeah, and just while we're talking about it, I do have the clip from Dropside News on their angle of this. The shooting was taken at a lot of different angles right now, but Let me actually just pull in a little bit closer.
Yeah. So that's the guy right there. He's got his phone up, standing in the street. Now, a lot of questions here. One of the really good questions is what happened with this lady where the officer shoves her here? Like it just seems like speech that isn't.
Wait, is that an officer shoving her?
Yeah, that's one
Looks
of the
like
officers.
another.
No.
Oh, okay.
And then
No, you're right.
Pepper sprays him, and then he continues to be pepper sprayed. Now he's like holding on to the lady, which is strange.
Yeah, I don't. know
But
what's
that does
going on.
happen under physical conflict, as people just kind of grab stuff and hold on to it, even if they might even want to let go, but you just grab really hard.
Well, it's a chaotic situation. I mean,
He
like
also was just pepper sprayed. I don't know if he even knows who he's grabbing onto.
That's a
there's
very fair
that,
point.
yeah, exactly. There's chaos, pepper spray. There's another altercation. There's other people jumping in. There's all these noises. People are. I had the audio muted there, but people are starting to yell "gun, gun."
Not yet.
Yeah,
I mean,
down the
they
road
will.
here.
But there's all these whistles and there's the honking going on, which is another irritant to doing this well, because we don't even know if they were saying you're under arrest, you're being detained. None of these things are really audibly, you can't really hear. They could have been said, they might not have been said, and that would be bad. That would be against protocol to not do that, because you're not invoking what you're doing, and that lessens your ability to defend yourself post hoc.
Right.
So at this point, they're kind of piling on him a little bit here. They force him to the ground, and as they're calling this resisting arrest, I think it's hard to say what it was unless he's being told to go down on his stomach. But at this point, they're piling on him, and this guy draws his
Pepper spray.
gun. No,
I
this
saw
this
pepper
is-
spray come out there, but he just put it on the ground.
Yeah, the guy on the left, he looks like he's holding on to something right now.
Yeah, he's about to pull it.
Yeah, and he drops and then pulls his gun. Yeah.
Big pause.
Yeah, big pause there.
Big pause.
As he
So-
pulls his gun, and then there's a shot, and then a delay, and then a series of shots going into Pretti.
Yeah, they just counted 10 shots.
So this officer that kind of turns and moves away on the right side, this angle doesn't show it as well, but that is the stipulated gun from Pretti that he pulls out of his conceal and carry. Pretti. That is on his waistband at the. He carries it at the kind of about the 5 o'clock position, kind of behind his back, but not quite center back. And then, unfortunately, the guy is shot to death.
Yeah, we can end it
in
there.
that moment.
So, I mean, there's a lot of controversy around the events there. It's really tough to tell from any of the video angles exactly what's going on, because it's all very grainy cell phone footage from kind of far away. And, you know, in all of these cases, I think we always wish we had better quality video to dissect them by, but it always seems like these things, similar to alien experiences, are shot on a freaking potato, you know what I mean? And it's just so annoying. But, I mean, walk us through here your interpretation of what you think was done wrong on both sides in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they were like the context, right? That's always the big question with any of these videos. We don't know exactly what happened. We don't know the minds of these officers. Their reaction to start things off does seem over the top for what is protected speech for the most part. I mean, when you're yelling at a police officer, you don't have to be nice to police officers. You should be. That's wise, but legally protected speech. Making noise is protected until it actually interferes with business, right? If an officer cannot give instructions to people, that makes things less safe. And if you're blowing whistle and honking horns, that is not wise from the perspective of public safety.
Right.
It might be protected speech up to a point, but it's also a thing that's actually making things more dangerous. So there's some culpability in a lot of people here, not even the people who laid hands on anybody in this situation.
Right.
For that.
And speaking of that dichotomy between legally protected and wise, this guy's carrying a gun to a protest, and that's perfectly legal to do, right? So long as he's peacefully protesting.
In Minnesota, it's legal.
It is.
Yeah, there's been a lot of drama about that online.
And now is that so long as you have a permit, or is there...
You're supposed to carry a permit with you.
Okay.
And identification.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But that's against the Second Amendment. I don't think that law
of
should
course.
exist, of course. And it's reasonable.
But it is the state law.
But right. And that doesn't obviously that doesn't justify the shooting, right? No one, I don't think anyone's really making that case.
Well, no,
Or
just having a gun on
Some
you does
people
not
are.
justify a shooting.
Well, yeah, other than the administration. Yeah.
And we will get to that.
But that being said, and we'll get into some of the signal group stuff later on, but there is pretty good evidence that this group of ICE officers was targeted by Pretti to go track these people down. Like there's a pretty good solid signal communication thread. And my understanding of the defense lawyer side of this is that the moment that he engaged on and touched the officer while he was in the middle of the altercation with the woman, that right there was a crime in itself.
But this is the sticking point.
And then the added chaos around it, like it comes into this thing where there's a lot of fog of war. It's very confusing.
But interfering with the sort of detention or dealing with
Yes.
that situation, touching the officer was interfering, and that is where he crossed the line.
That's my understanding.
That is going to be the hardest point for the people who really want to see some kind of punishment for the officers to see anything. That said, it's really understandable the way people read this, because you see an officer kind of pursue a woman around a corner without really seeing what the woman did or what the officer did or what that inciting incident is, shove her to the ground. And anytime I see a grown man shove a woman, I just have an immediate like, oh, fuck that guy. Like I don't care. You know, it doesn't matter how hawkish I am on the border. I go, screw that guy, right?
Yep.
And, to a defensive, like, hand up to protect the woman is not exactly the same thing as the officer is trying to detain an illegal immigrant and you're literally standing in the way, or keeping them from egress or of a building. That's another one that the left has been doing. They're not doing that here, though.
Yeah.
And like, we got to keep on this, like the facts of this case.
Right.
And this moment doesn't appear to me to be like the officer was in danger, really prohibited from doing their job. It looks like the officer was mad about speech in this case, potentially.
For sure. Well, and I think it bears noting here, just to zoom out to the broader circumstances of everything that's going on in Minneapolis. You have all these whistles and drums and horns and whatever, that people are making a tremendous amount of noise, which is like really cognitively straining for people that are subject to that all the time. So if they're following around these ICE officers, they're literally putting them in an elevated stress state, right? Where they don't have all their cognitive faculties to make some of these really smart and critical decisions when they need to.
Much less if they're trained exactly to do that.
The
And ICE
people making
officers not
noise
necessarily doing that.
are making it more dangerous for everyone.
Yeah, especially because the ICE officers themselves aren't trained to deal with riots, right? They're a very different set of circumstances, very different sets of rules.
Yeah.
And a second to that, so like at the end of the day, the inciting incident isn't even any of those things. It's when the gun is removed, or at some point a gunshot goes off. Now, there are other angles that do look like an officer pulls the gun, is actually moving around, and it looks like it fires. And there is a theory about the P320 from SIG that it seems like it goes off very easily.
I've seen numerous videos of just pressing down on the slide with a round in the chamber will cause some of these firearms, maybe not all of them, but many of them, to potentially accidentally discharge.
Of the SIG, of that
of the SIG
specific
P320,
model.
yes.
And it could be that he had that. There's a lot of speculation. I don't think we actually know that. But there's been multiple media cycles of this actually just a couple months ago, specifically about that model.
Right.
So if that's accident discharge and then the officers respond to believing that he has a weapon, because and people who are overly critical of the officers in that shoot case, I'm not sure it's a bad shot in this sense. If you're on the ground and you have a weapon and you decide it's time to go, right, you can pull and fire very tight to the chest and from that turtle position, that would be very dangerous to the officers around you. And if you hear a gunshot, you hear gunshot, and you don't know what's going on, and you're not trained to deal with that situation, you don't have him flattened, the fact they don't control his hands is so frustrating, right? It would be better to have him belly up and turned over where you can see his hands than it would be to have him belly down in that case, unless he's flat to the ground. You can see his hands on his side or on his back.
Right.
The arrest is really
particularly
bad.
if his firearm is sort of behind him, you almost would want him on his back with the firearm pressed between him and the ground and his hands away from it, right?
Yeah,
if that was your concern.
Right. And if anything, I mean, front has some dangers too,
Sure.
from front pull, you don't know where the firearm is. They don't even know he has a firearm until they say he has gun. They say gun
so they
when he's
discover
down
it
on the
late.
ground, right? So then the fire goes off and then they shoot him.
Yeah.
And I could totally understand that. It's a terrible circumstance because it's totally understandable that the officer would take that call in that moment as soon as you hear the gunshot.
Yeah. Well, we said we weren't going to dissect the shot itself, but we did a little bit just so you guys kind of have some of the working mechanics of what happened.
I do want to add just some added context. I've been playing kind of on the background a bunch of the way they've been barricading the streets. There's also activists vandalizing hotels that ICE officers are actually, this is Bureau of Prison officers are staying at. You can actually see right here that officer's hand is quite bloody.
Someone bit it.
Yeah.
While trying to detain somebody.
And the clip, I'm not going to play all the audio of the clip, but there comes a point where later on, where actually I might be thinking of another clip, but there's another Bureau of Prisons guy where he's going around and he's just like, where are the MPD? Where are the MPD?
Yeah.
Bring in the MPD. And he's trying to get like officers to actually come in and help them in these situations, because that's been a big issue in the Minnesota stuff, is that the local police department has been very standoffish. And also that's been a feature of the signal groups, is that when ICE shows up to, or any of the auxiliary units like these guys show up to places, they're calling in the police and saying that there's armed kidnappings happen, trying to get the police to fire on the ICE guys.
Yeah.
That's a very common thing that's being shown in the signal logs and all of this.
So this hotel is, just imagine it for a second. Just put yourself in the shoes of these people. Like you say, you see an ad, you're like, I want to serve my country, help out, get the illegals out. I want criminals and gangsters and people like that out of my country. So you sign up, you go get trained for a couple months, you go off to do this thing, and you get deployed to Minneapolis, and then they put you up in this hotel, and you're literally all day hearing horns and blaring and being followed by people, and people are saying fuck ICE and being mean to you all day, every day, and you're in there with your boys, and all of a sudden your hotel is under attack. You know, that might raise stakes a little bit. That might make things a little elevated. It might be a line that's been crossed.
Right.
Doesn't legitimate anything that happened, doesn't legitimate the shooting, but describing the environment we got to where these two shootings happened is important. And I think very relevant.
I will challenge. I actually think it serves more to legitimate the shooting more often because of the level of chaos. Like, is it a mistake? Quite likely it is, but like, you can understand why the mistake exists there. It becomes a lot more, you can empathize with that officer so much more because of the state that everything is in right now, especially when there are paid and unpaid agitators going around causing ruckus across the city right now. Like there are groups, and they have designated, like, this is your role. This is the place that you're supposed to be. You're an antagonizer. You're a medic. You're like all of that. They're tracking license plates. They're doxing members. All of this is going on in the middle of this right now. So you got to keep that context in mind of how chaotic the fog of war is in the moment.
Yeah. One thing to lighten it up a little bit, did you guys see the video of the ICE agents from this, where they're all outside and they're like up in their hotel room and they're looking down like this big window?
I did see that.
And they're all drinking beers, and one of them moons the protesters.
No.
It was pretty funny.
I should have pulled that clip. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Not very professional, but pretty hilarious.
But it shows you where things are right now.
And that they're people, and that they're regular people. They're like that. They're not robots, you know? They do people shit.
Yeah.
You know, and I have a lot of thoughts, right? I really don't think, I think it's legal to know where the police are and follow them around if you want to, right? That said, you know, it's going to raise the stakes, and that's just the trade-offs, guys.
Right.
That's just how it is.
So do you think there's an element here of them wanting this to get violent for the news cycle, for the propaganda, to incite something more serious than just some standoffs and some shootings in the streets of Minneapolis?
I think we can speculate about motive very reasonably in this case. Like, feel very confident in our speculations. It's always hard to know the mind of any one individual, but damn, does it feed a certain set of interest groups and their power?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're the mayor of Minneapolis, your power is greater now than it was before this. Right? You're a hero of the left, standing up to Trump's Nazi fascista regime. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So all of that is. And then in the NGO space, this is definitely media fodder. And are they sad that those people died? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Are they also kind of happy in a sense, because now, you know, it's going to create more pressure on Trump to change policy or to get a win or to like push the demographics for the midterms? I think so. There's a lot of jaded people out there who are going to think about it in those terms.
And there's obviously bot farms hyping up both sides on this.
Oh, I'm sure.
On all ends of this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if down the road, something that we discover is a much more formal pipeline of the fraud to the activist groups, much more formalized.
The Somali fraud and various other things.
Because this is a tactic that has been done, I know, on the British end to the Russians. This was a very big thing that they would do, is that they would make all these, usually more around tax fraud, and siphon money out of Russia in that way. And I'm looking at that and I'm just like, this is the same playbook right here. I wouldn't, especially with all the Somali fraud stuff that's drumming up everywhere.
Well, right, and it seems to take the media attention off of that and all the hot water that Governor Tim Walz was in over that issue. I mean, he did elect not to run for another term because of the Somali fraud. So with violence in the streets, he and Mayor Jacob Fry get to be a little bit more like gung-ho wartime president, if you will, of their various little fiefdom there, and it puts them in a better spot.
Is that a diversion? To me, that just feels like there's more and more stuff piling on, and all of it kind of comes together.
I think for the average person, the average news viewer, they're probably not holding Somali fraud in their head while they're ingesting what's going on the streets.
It's all the same figures, though. You know?
It is, but
it's
I just
Ilhan
don't
Omar, it's Walz, it's Keith
I don't know if those
Ellison.
dots have connected yet in the popular consciousness. Is that your point? Yeah.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure the listeners of this show are doing that because they're seeing the system that's in play here because you guys are paying attention.
High IQ audience.
High IQ.
Yeah, that's how we go.
You guys
But
are
I don't think the
wicked
average person
smart.
is.
We're just a bunch of retards here.
So I think we should get a sense of the bigger picture here. So there were massive protests, like to get a sense that this environment that we're operating in with these shootings are happening when, like Kyle was saying and showing, like these barricaded tactics, these things. But there's also like enormous standard protests of people getting out to protest ICE coming into Minneapolis and their operations that have definitely picked up. And then, of course, anytime there's large groups of people, especially left-wing protests, there's an inevitable, violence and things like that. One of the sparking incidents are these videos of what I would call, appear to me to be lacking context, and of course there could be additional facts that we aren't aware of yet, but just by what you consume on videos like this, where you have one of the lead guys with the Border Patrol walking here, talking to some guys, a couple dudes who are giving him a hard time, right? They're not being nice. You don't have to be nice. Legally protected speech. But they're giving these guys a rough time. I want to jump ahead, Kyle. And as they do, he takes out his phone. He takes a picture of them. That's also protected. The police can't take pictures of you in public, just like you can take pictures of them. Specifically, if there's a probable cause or suspicion that you are someone who's doing something illegal.
Just for audience, in the tweet it does say the officer's name, Border Chief Greg Bavino. He's the one that is not masked.
Right. And at this point, this guy's kind of picking up and kind of getting very close to this guy. There's like a very obvious acceleration to this guy recording this officer. And then as he kind of breaks in, he decides to detain him. To
be clear, he's not breaking into Target. He's walking in the front door. You just said breaks in. I didn't want anybody to misconstrue.
He breaks into his frame. I think is what Dave meant to say.
He tries to get close to him to grab him.
There he is breaking into Target.
I think it's a legal entry across Target. But that's a good example of you see that and you're like, man, these guys are out of hand, right? And I do understand that. And I also understand why these ICE officers don't like being called, Nazis and fascists and bad people and said to get out and all this over and over again. It sucks, I'm sure. It's a shitty job.
It's also a thing, and I'll maybe repeat myself here, but my sympathies for the protesters go far down the more I read the signal logs on this. Because it brings way more context to these sorts of things. Sure. These things are happening over and over again with targeted assaults is what it seems like. It's like, it's not assaults, but it's like, we're just going to push them right up to the edge. We're just going to get as close to it as possible. And at that point, there becomes a thing where it's like, is it civil disobedience anymore? You're clearly antagonizing action. That's what it becomes.
But also you antagonize action with your speech, right? And then the other side goes overboard, and then you reveal that. That is the MLK formula, right? But the question is this speech sympathetic? I don't know, right? I don't become more sympathetic to your cause when you're just screaming epithets. Right. There are other ones where it's a little bit clearer that this person was just straight up just trying to record the police and what they were doing and was definitely within the law, and they start doing some stuff that I'm more uncomfortable with. It's like that woman getting shoved in the Pretti shooting. It's like you just don't know what happened there, but it does look really bad when you're just shoving women who aren't in the way.
Right.
You know, if you're literally impeding, of course, you can use force in that circumstance in order to secure your objective, but it's better to detain. And when we do detain, it's really messy. You know, there was some videos like last year of a guy getting detained in the middle of the street, traffic's going by, all this other stuff, and for some reason they're trying to detain this guy, and they spend like 5 minutes trying to arrest him.
I remember that video.
Yeah, and the guy gets away in the end.
Yeah.
Right? In part because it's just like the arrest was just terrible. It was just not done well. You know?
Right.
And you're just
honestly, it deserves to be citizen.
It's like the presidential fitness test for immigrants. If you can escape an attempted detaining by ICE, you're good, dude.
And they have you on the ground.
That was the amazing thing.
Purely an athletic stuff.
It's like the
NFL combine for immigrants.
Ever watch
There's a certain threshold. When you hit it, you're good.
We don't want the fittest. Yeah. Yeah, it's like they didn't have handcuffs or something like that. It was completely bizarre.
Yeah.
So,
let's move on to getting into some more of the dialogue around Pretti himself, because I'm sure most people who have looked at any of this online is you've seen a lot of, there's like kind of before and after images of when the media got their hands on his imagery. So much so that MSNBC has even deleted their segment in regards to this because people realized that they were using AI images of him to make him look prettier.
Wow.
So here is the before. This is the real image.
Alex Pretti.
Yeah, Alex Pretti. And
that's
this is
Alex
the after.
Prettier.
whoa.
Alex Prettier.
Yeah, prettier.
Even
Look
so,
at
you got
the
like
teeth.
billboards showing up with him. You know,
His-
people are putting him up. From healthcare hero to target of violence.
Wow.
Nurse Alex Pretti.
That's some propaganda right there.
Which
Go back and forth between these two real quick. Just yeah. I mean, you can already see
them a
they
nice
like enhance
tan.
the image because the other one's just pixelated. Like you can see it's maybe an image of an image. You see some like haloing on the the gloss of the photo or whatever. But they definitely upgraded his teeth. They made him more tan.
a little bit more bulky, more square jaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this,
I mean,
this goes to show. We're like, remember back during the COVID stuff, what they did to Rogan, where they made
him look
Rogan look
green.
green, right?
Yeah.
It's the same type of thing here.
Same
right?
thing that they did to Donald Trump all the time, making him extra orange, right? You know, it was just sort of this hyperbole of visuals.
Can I just do a quick aside? If I pass away, when you guys do your memorial podcast episode of me, I want you just make me fucking jacked. Dude. Just make me look
Exclusively AI
awesome,
images.
You know, just
I'll-
really.
I'll make an AI model for us. I can do that.
We'll just use Johnny Sins.
Oh, thanks, bud. Yeah.
Johnny Sins plays a lot of roles.
You can play David.
Podcast rep is one of them. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Nurse, politician, podcaster.
Pizza delivery guy.
It's been great working with you, Johnny.
I mean, to bring this back to the middle here, is some of this a fair like eulogizing of the guy? Like you want the image to be a little bit higher resolution. You want to cast him in his best light, if you will. Is some of that okay? I mean, we accept it in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. Like, is this somehow different?
That's a good steel man of it. Like you're a good faith effort just to make a picture look as good as you can for the public consumption.
Right.
You know?
But a pretty martyr is better than an ugly martyr. That's
true.
That's
the
true.
case.
Yeah.
That's
That's true.
That's just standard marketing, right?
Yeah.
Well, he is a pretty martyr.
Yeah.
He is a pretty
Technically.
martyr.
And it goes over the top. Like you guys sent this image over. I'm very curious about what you said. It was AI.
Yeah, so I started seeing today while I was preparing for the podcast this image. Also, a lot of images. There's actually just a lot of AI images of people trying to enhance who he was, spread positive messages around him, and they're all AI.
Really?
But this was the one that I pulled. So yeah, here's whoever this is. Nurse Alex Pretti, who was killed days ago by an ICE agent at a rally in Minnesota, helped disabled veterans get back on their feet. And there is nothing more that needs to be added about the spirit of this man.
That was weirdly written.
She also used AI for the text.
She might be AI. I have no idea.
Okay.
She's from Canada. I stand with Canada.
How do we spot the AI here?
So-
Whoa, what's going on with the guy's knuckles?
The most clear
Start
one.
with the flag.
The most clear one
Yeah.
is the flag. Someone read the comments.
How many stripes should there be on an American flag? This is a citizenship test right now. Who knows?
13.
13.
Yeah. There's
How many
11.
stripes are on that flag?
Oh. I mean, that's explainable.
It was just a little tall for the space, so they just carved off the bottom too.
Well, no one likes Delaware.
I did start seeing this image cropped. I started seeing people cropping the image
to cut that
right above this guy's line because
clever.
people started discovering that. It's the same thing. Their arms start to blend in together.
Okay.
And here, there's things with the logos. I remember. I think on these shoes, if you enhance it further, there's logo issues on the shoes.
You also have to ask. You have to explain yourself. Why does he have that guy with 2, and why does that guy only have 1? It's just like, hey, hop around, jackass.
For audio only listeners, there's 2 guys with prosthetic legs, and one just has 1 leg instead of 2.
No explainable reason.
Can we go back to the text? It's kind of fucked up. Helping them get back on their feet.
Oh,
Jesus.
Oh God, yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah.
How many views does that have?
2.1 million.
Yeah, it's some effective propaganda.
And I've seen this image all over the place. This isn't the only person.
It's
that did this
crazy
image.
that you would have that kind of propaganda. Mm-hmm. Huh.
But most of the images I'm seeing now are.
But even then, you could
cutting
still be like, well, I just generated an image just to illustrate. I was trying to get to the spirit of what he did, and just there's a good faith interpretation of that too.
Kyle with bingo.
Yeah, it's about the spirit of it. They're spirit enjoyers.
Yeah. Or what I just did a little bit ago. I was like trying to tell that story of the ICE agents in the hotel from a more sympathetic point of view, so you can get that point of view. And there's no doubt that, if you're helping wounded veterans, very compelling person's story, all that kind of stuff. I can see that.
Well, you can just tell me that, though. I don't need to see a fake image.
Yeah.
better for clicks.
Yeah.
Right.
Better for clicks.
Another thing is, just today as we were preparing for this, another clip showed up. So it was reported on by CNN, I believe, that Alex Pretti had cracked his rib a week before the incident. And now there is footage, what appears to be, of that incident. My understanding, at least at this point in time, it's not 100% proof confirmed that this is him, but they ran facial recognition on him, and it was 97%.
Yeah.
So here is him being an upstanding citizen.
Do you get a good shot of his face, though? Like, look for that this time.
Or actually, I'll mute this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can
So
see that profile.
He spit towards them there, and then now he's kicking the taillight of this cop car, breaks and dangles.
Damn, good kick.
Officer
outfit,
gets out.
The outfit is similar to what he was wearing, too.
Quite similar.
On the other video.
And then this officer is wrestling him to the ground, joined by a couple of others.
Definitely see a gun print there in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people have
position.
zoomed in. It's pretty clearly a gun that is in there. Yeah.
Definitely in that same 5 o'clock position.
Yeah, same side, everything. But yeah.
Yeah, and this, it goes back. So in this situation, he gets pinned to the ground again, but then this time, strangely, okay, help me understand the law enforcement logic here. He kicks your vehicle, you get out, you put him on the ground, he has a gun, you don't detain him or arrest him or any of those sorts of things. You let him back up, and then you walk off. And there's a point where you could see the handle sticking out the side of his pants.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm very confused at the decision-making process in this video specifically. Obviously, it definitely undermines him being as a, like, just some random guy, right? We already knew that. Like at least I already guessed that he was a left-wing activist.
Well, sure. But, I mean, I think it really does disarm the argument that he was this peaceful protester kind of fella.
He was no
definitely out there agitating and I mean, very clearly damaging their property as well.
Yeah, go forward just a little bit more, Kyle, to where he's standing up, and after they kind of let him back up. So they put him on the ground, and then they let him back up again.
Just play it. Yeah, so he's there screaming.
Yeah, it's like free. I was jumping around too much.
Yeah, he's hollering at him. We kind of lose him for a minute. Yeah, you see it? You see the gun handle poking out at the 5 o'clock. And don't get me wrong, just because you're carrying a weapon doesn't mean you're...
Yeah, there it is, and fully within their view as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's looks pretty clearly it's him.
It's so weird that they would take him out, do that, and then leave. I wonder what the logic was.
Is he not under arrest? Like, I agree with you. I don't understand.
It's a police tactic, and this would be recommended. Okay, so not a police officer. I'm not trained as a police officer. I have done a lot of trainings for being a security guard. And when I'm doing that, like, one of the rules is, like, if you're going to put hands on somebody, you go all the way to finish, right? You don't just do it a little bit, right? You do it to achieve your objective, and then you're out. If you're escorting someone out, you don't do it a little bit and just like rough them up. You get them out of the room, right? If you're not doing that, you got to do it with intent or don't do it at all. And I don't understand why they would do this.
There could be a threat assessment that's being here of they need to wait for backup because there's all the smoke that's out and everything, and just the sheer number of people. There might be
that might be it.
That's often a common protocol that I think, because people always look, the cops just showed up and then they just turned around. The reason why they're turning around is because they need more men to come in, and when you just have one car there, they might have made an assessment there. It was like, we need more people.
Yeah, maybe they didn't have room to detain them. But why get out then?
I don't know.
Why did you stop the car and get out? Why don't you just drive off?
I don't know.
Injured vehicle, write it off on the taxpayer.
Right.
But that does also demonstrate that the lack of backup from local PD is a major contributor here, right? Because they don't have the ability to take someone who's literally breaking the law and actually get them to be punished for it, because they just don't have the men.
Right.
Because the governor refuses to provide it, and the mayor and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just, while you guys are talking, I'm pulling up the next set of links for the signal groups, because this was probably one of the most interesting things on my end of what I saw across this entire thing was the signal side of this. Is you had people, and a lot of the reporting here is coming from Cam Higbee, but they infiltrated a large amount of these groups that have the maximum amount of people, and it shows a lot more organization and thoughtfulness of these protests than just kind of it being spontaneous or whatever.
Right. And for those that may not use Signal, it's a messaging app, encrypted messaging app. So these are large groups where these protesters are organizing their efforts in a fairly comprehensive way.
Yeah, and there's state representatives in these groups. There's national journalists in these groups. The Krasenstein brothers were in them and gloating about being in them and telling everybody to keep pushing, that type of thing.
Isn't the lieutenant governor of Minnesota one of them?
I saw people saying that. I didn't see that in the logs. What I saw was there was a lot of these like useful resources for if something happens to you. We have a friendly attorney governor, and here's a link to Keith Ellison. But Keith Ellison has been a shady figure in amongst all of this stuff.
Attorney General?
Yeah, attorney general. Gotcha. Maybe there's something about the lieutenant governor that I'm missing, and there could be.
There was a cycle about the lieutenant governor as well. Yeah, but it was, I don't know, confirmed, but there was good suspicion, heavy speculation. Yeah.
There's also things like maps of the Twin Cities where they're designating, sharing our Bloomington Patrol Zone map, which is loosely based on city council districts, and they're assigning people to like, these are your stations. Right.
That shows a lot of organization.
Yeah, a lot of organization. And just to kind of another useful breakdown I found from a guy that kind of compiled a lot of this data together. They separated all members of these groups by emojis for what their role is in the entire operation. There were 9 key roles. It was mobile patrol, stationary patrol, foot patrol, dispatch, group messenger, school and transport safety spotters, license plate checkers, medics, and aftercare providers. All of these people were separated, and in the instruction manual that they were giving out, it was they'd be laying out kind of this is your role, this is kind of your responsibilities, this is the danger levels of the role that you're being assigned to, that type of danger
zone.
And question here: the likelihood that this was designed by a white woman with all the emojis
might be in there.
Pretty high. Come on.
Probably AI, if I'm honest.
Oh, really? That's a good point. They just like generate, what are all the roles we need for our protest group? And it comes up with these emojis like, oh yeah, we'll use the emojis.
Imagine as if, hypothetically speaking, we were going to organize an agitation effort.
A color revolution.
A minor color revolution in an American city. What should we do to organize?
Sam Altman's like, I gotcha. There was this post. We won't go into the entire thing here, but 37.6 million views. That was a response to this. That's like, as a former Special Forces warrant officer, talking about his time with counterinsurgency and his views on this. What are your guys' thoughts? I guess let me open this up to you guys now that we've kind of just laid out some of that groundwork. What are your general thoughts on the organization of the signal groups now, on where we're standing and kind of the insurgency aspect of it, like going beyond just protester, right? Because we're kind of beyond that, it seems, at this point.
I mean, I don't know. I know David has some thoughts on this. I don't know to what level you could say this is an insurgency versus just a well-organized protest group. I would say, though, looking back to the Summer of Love, we saw pallets of bricks delivered to some of these protests and riots that were taking place in cities across America. And a lot of suspicion and tracing of funds to different NGOs that were funding these things. And I think it isn't the biggest stretch to me to think that these things have had, a couple of years to develop and to sort of plan their next effort. And this seems to be the next effort. And it would not surprise me at all that these things were highly organized to be deliberate efforts to impede ICE doing their jobs.
Yeah. There are trucks that have been spotted pulling up. I thought I had the link in here, but I didn't. Of trucks pulling up to protesters with like standardized signs, and some of the protesters saw that they were being filmed and they were like waving at the camera.
Yeah, there's also ones of things used for barricades, and but you don't. It's always hard to know what those really are, right? I mean, it was like remember the gas masks?
Yes.
In California last year, the guy pulls up with a bunch of brand new gas masks. They're just pulling out of boxes for people.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Where are they getting the money for that?
Yeah. I mean, it could just be a guy who he took out of some savings and bought a bunch of gas masks. Could
be fraud.
I've worked with volunteers for a decade. Yeah. Very hard to get them to do that. That said, doesn't mean they won't. And it could be difference in kind or urgency. There's something about these people, that just gets them more religiously about this sort of thing.
Well, and I could see that there is something about the situation of feeling like you are the resistance against tyranny, against authoritarianism, and you're part of this tribe.
1776 will commence again.
Exactly.
In their minds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is more like the Bolshevik Revolution will commence again.
Right.
I don't think I have that.
Clip that one.
Gotta work on it.
So my thoughts here, I've never been a part, and I've been a part of many protests, quite a few protests. I've never been a part of one that wasn't organized by somebody.
Yes, same.
There's always hierarchy in everything.
Yeah.
There's hierarchy in this to organize this. The difference between an insurgency operation and this, in theory, this is peaceful protest until it isn't. And it keeps on not being when it turns into a riot. The question is whether or not you have speech of somebody organizing the mass violence. Then it's insurgency, right? We don't have that speech. I haven't seen it anyways. If that evidence exists, you have an excellent RICO case to go after people for organizing violent campaign.
What is a RICO case?
That's where you can charge a whole bunch of people together for a conspiracy to act. It's basically a tool that we use to go after the mob.
That seems to be what the move is moving towards right now, with the introduction of the signal logs.
Yeah. So the signal logs show organization. I don't know that they show coordinated efforts to do violence unless you're encouraging that. You have to put together the case. And I haven't been through all the documents. Maybe it's there.
It's very clearly designed to. It's very clearly designed to, we need to initiate the other side to do something without us doing it, which is the common left-wing. This is classic Saul Alinsky.
And also classic MLK, right? Like the knowledge was that if we show up and march across this bridge, we're going to get our ass kicked. The trick is they're not doing that, right? They're doing something else, but it is in the same vein.
They're vandalizing.
Of protective speech. That's illegal.
Right. They are vandalizing. They are blockading. They are
individuals are
things.
Vandalizing. Mm-hmm. If there's a thing in here, if there's a part of that is we're going to blockade these streets, then you have a case, right? If you're saying we're going to riot at this time, then you have a case. But as long as they are dotting their I's and crossing their T's in their public communications about these things, very hard to prosecute. I'm not saying what we should do or what's up with this in terms of like a value or normative. I'm just saying from a legal perspective, very difficult to prosecute because the reality is there's never been a protest that doesn't have someone organizing it.
Well, and that is the thing. It's just the social engineer aspect of this is you don't have to say that. That's the unfortunate thing is you don't have to say that. You just know it's going to happen. Yeah. Right. We've already seen this play out over and over again. We're reliving 2020 again with the Summer of Love. It's all the same patterns right there. But you didn't have people from the top saying that, at least that we've discovered, that are just like, yes, go break into all the things. It's like, it's going to happen though. You know, you're setting the stage for that to occur without you necessarily commanding people to do the thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's much more spontaneous, bottom up in the moment when these things kind of break into being riots, and that's just the challenge of it. It's hard to make it at the case that I think a lot of conservatives want it to be, where this is just obviously just an organized violence thing.
Yeah.
When that part's not organized. That part's happening dynamically. So it's hard to prosecute the way they want it to be.
For sure. But I mean, with like some of the situations, like the one that happened to James O'Keefe, where their license plate was run, and you know that they have license plate chats and things going on.
I got a video of that.
In these, their organizational structure, someone has to pull those plates from somewhere. And that's not a thing you can just do as a civilian, is it?
That is wild. I'm very curious about how they are pulling plates or running plates like this.
Yeah, so that is one of the things. And by the way, if that is unauthorized use of something like a DMV database, that is a felony. So people that are doing that, if that's how they're doing that, there's another set of charges right there. But here is Crowder reported this afternoon. He had got a leak, I believe, that I'll just kind of play a little bit of it.
And then
you can see this is a group of like 30 different people.
Or...
And they're all reporting in cars with ICE agents or Bureau of Prison agents.
Or what they suspect to be.
Mm-hmm.
This happened to Cam Higbee, too, while he was...
on those, were those all one type of car, all different vehicles?
And this is a thing, too, where I'm not going to play the end of the video, but in accordance to like these are the zones that you're operating on, they have like lookouts at all of these friendly aligned businesses that are looking for all the stuff, and they're all reporting from them. And this is one of those places, one of those lookout spots is where Pretti got shot in front of, because they were like, we need backup over here, come. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of a piece of it, because one of the elements here was that in the signal chat, there's pretty much like 95% confidence that we know what username was Alex Pretti. It was Alvin P was the username, which goes back to an old Twitter handle that he used to have. Funny enough, it was like Alvin P something. I can't remember what it was. And in there, he's one of the people that's responding. It's just like, I'm here. I'm on my way to your location, because that location is like, ICE is showing up. There's 4 officers. We need help. So like, there's a coordinated here. Let's come screw them up and bring in all the people that are out, that are like our runners over a few blocks away type of dynamic. Yeah. So those types of coordinations are happening, which is another kind of bit of evidence of they're targeting people, right? Like, come target these people, ruin their day, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Right. But that is, it has to be tested by a court, but legal for government agents.
Could you?
Yeah. I mean, not to run their plates, but to be like, they're here, come protest here. Totally legal.
Legal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I was hearing you.
Rolls again, Kyle?
The rolls? Yeah.
You still have that?
Let me,
right there.
Here.
There.
What about it?
I guess, like, I'm curious if his account had one of these, like, I don't know.
Oh, did he have an emoji?
Foot patrols or something, like what would he potentially?
I got the suspected logs right here. 1 second, I'll pull that up.
You would think he would be a medic with his background.
I think he might have been.
Yeah, okay.
I think he was.
But he turned out to be like, that's too lame. I want to
Foot
be
patrol.
one of the agitators.
In these logs, it doesn't show, because these are kind of logs after the fact, because the entire Signal group chats have been deleted now at this point. But it doesn't look like. Yeah, or sorry, it's not Alvin P. It's Alvin Q.
Okay.
That was the. I said that wrong. But
wait, he's QAnon?
Oh my god!
I thought the same thing. Yeah, and people are linking the Alvin Q Pretti. There is a former Twitter URL that is Alvin Q Pretti.
Yeah.
Right.
Is Alvin his first name?
Used to use a university email address. That's pret0026@umn.edu. Right. So.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the emoji side of this, but yeah. Or actually, it might be somewhere else in this thread, but regardless.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
I would assume he was a medic. I did do a more thorough deep dive earlier.
Yes.
But yeah, see, it's like multiple ICE agents at Glam Doll Donuts, 4 vehicles, pushing commuters, pepper spraying, 1 observer abducted, need more people. There's these types of chat threads that are going on. Confirmed ICE, Black Mazda, midsize, yada, yada, yada at this address. Alvin Q says at Friendship Co-op.
What's the emoji next?
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's a medic helmet.
That's the emoji.
There's the emoji,
yeah.
Yeah, he says, I'm at the Friendship Co-op. I'm moving west on 38 to spot. Will update. And by the way, this Alvin Q never shows up after the shooting happened in any of the Signal threads. So that's another one of those pieces of evidence. There's like, yeah, this is him right here.
And Interesting.
Yeah.
So who's funding all this? We have this interesting report from James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe. Yeah.
Long-time viewers will understand that.
The great samurai himself.
James O'Keefe, the Japanese assassin. That's not a cute girl. That's James O'Keefe. That was a fun episode. Here is some of his reporting talking about it.
Yep.
What we found is a hodgepodge of various NGOs and nonprofits loosely tied together through ideology, funded in part by the government, featuring 501c3s with nonprofit tax returns, a variety of funding sources. But most of these people we found were actually true believers, there to live and die by their cause.
Peggy
Wang, Independent Socialist Group, says, yeah, so we are an independent socialist national organization that supports the fight against ICE.
This woman, featured on a hidden camera, is Peggy Wang. Based in Boston, she works at Massachusetts College of Art and Design. Active in the Massachusetts Teachers Association, she participates in pro-Palestinian protests, and her job is currently being threatened for doing so. While this footage is hard to hear, Peggy Wang lists the issues that her organization gets involved in: immigration rights, abolishing ICE, stopping raids and deportations, justice for victims, and getting ICE out of cities like Minneapolis.
She's talking about how she does union work. She's a union member. Our union definitely needs to take up the fight against ICE. Inaudible genocide.
Yeah. So, did we miss out on that? Is it a little bit forward from there, Kyle, where we actually get into the other groups?
Do you want it?
The bigger fun?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, don't belabor it, but yeah, it's the socialists play a fairly major part of the foot soldiers here. I think that's this question. Is it a party? Like fun party.
This other protester we secretly recorded talks about an organization called Make the Road New York. We've never heard of this organization, but apparently they have a budget of $30 million. They talk about one of the speakers that spoke earlier that day, April Veretti. April is the president of the SEIU labor union.
I mean, if you're interested in an immigrants' rights organization, you should look up Make the Road New York.
Make the Road New York.
Make the Road.
But who are you with?
I'm just with the union.
Oh.
Yeah. SEIU, Service Employees International.
We looked at the tax returns of Make the Road New York and found they're a registered 501c3 that file a 990, and they received $16 million in grants.
So yeah, you're paying for this. Government grants going to the C3. Is that how you said? Government grants or just grants?
Government grants.
Government grants, yeah.
Which kind of goes into what I was saying. I think we're probably going to wind up discovering down the road a much more thorough pipeline of even just the fraud side of going into these things too. Like there'll be government grants to the NGO basis, but I think you're going to end up having a kind of two-pronged entity that exists there.
Assuming a real investigation that actually pulls that stuff out. And I want to make this note. These guys with a union, about how weird that is, right? Unions are supposed to represent the interests of their workers. That's supposed to be their role. And they're out protesting ICE from removing their competition from the country. The SEIUs is supposed to be, they're one of the largest unions in the world. 2 million workers are represented by the SEIU. Healthcare workers, hospital and home nursing, public services, government employees, law enforcement, property services, including janitors, security guards, and food service workers. So it's like a meta union where all these tiny unions, your union might be along the SEIU and you don't even know it. And you're paying those dues and it's going to the SEIU, and then they're using that to organize foot soldiers to go out and protest a policy that would raise your wages in theory. Like that's by removing, illegal workers from the system. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I remember when working in politics, flying out to an event that we had gotten the intel that there was a large amount of protesters that were going to be showing up at that event on the other side. And I remember walking onto that plane, and it was like all these union shirts everywhere. and there was like 8,000 protesters that were flown out to that event.
Whoa.
Yeah. Dave was there.
Real money.
Yeah. We've experienced the union protester thing in the past.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm curious, like, so service employees, service industry workers, seems like it would be representative of some of this cohort of people. Is it possible for an illegal immigrant to be a member of a union?
Sure.
So they're out there sort of defending their workforce, if you will. Like
Maybe.
defending their membership.
Maybe. Some of the membership, maybe.
Some of the membership.
I mean,
right.
but you would, in traditionally, closed borders in like the most border hawkish factions of the American political system were unions.
Huh.
You would expect that.
Yeah.
That is kind of the normal logic until 10 years ago, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're associated with the AFL-CIO, which is the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations. These are like major labor unions for like steel and things like that. Those are big. Those are another big union.
Yeah.
And just think about this: Donald Trump carried the union vote, right? And his number one competitors to get his agenda across the line is the people who the union voters are paying their dues to.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and it just shows how unions are just mafias at the end of the day. That's like, strip away all of the fanciness of like what they're supposed to be giving to you. It's no different than mafias. You're going to pay your dues. We're going to do this stuff for you. We'll give you this level of protection. Like, that's what mafias do.
Yeah.
One of Kyle and I's oldest mental models. Everything's a union, or everything's a cartel,
or a cult.
A cult, all the way down. Like,
Yes.
Everything is always that. If you strip away all the fancy, flowery words and people in suits and blah, 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 that's what it is.
Yeah. Right. So just because this woman is with SEIU doesn't necessarily mean that SEIU was funding these efforts, right? Did she say that she was deliberate, like their organization was funding this?
that they're organizing it.
They are organizing.
Yeah. So they're dedicating resources to organizing these protests.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got a very fun video for you guys that I want to show. This just kind of goes into some of the TikToks going around on the activist side right now.
Oh God.
Here is a woman giving her advice on how to deal with ICE advice.
A nurse.
Yeah, she's a nurse on how to deal with ICE and kind of informing and instructing people on what to do.
I thought of something good. I think it's stuck in the weird spot. Sabotage tactic, or at least scare tactic. All the medical providers, grab some syringes with needles on the end. Have them full of saline or succinylcholine, whatever. That will probably be a deterrent. Be safe.
What?
Okay, for today's resistance tip, I vote. Anybody got any poison ivy, poison oak in their yard? Get some of that up with gloves, obviously. Get it in some water, like a gallon of water. Get the poison ivy oak water, and I'm gonna put it into a water gun.
And spray them with it.
Yeah.
Hands.
Terrible.
Okay, we
this
got to go
lady
back
is
though,
really
because
sick.
she referenced a drug in there. I forget exactly what she called it. If you go back to the caption, I believe
Yeah,
it
it is in the
mentions what
caption.
that drug is. Let's see. She posted a series of videos encouraging people to inject ICE agents with succinylcholine. Succinylcholine.
He never learned how to read.
Which is a temporary paralysis drug.
Yes. She also encourages women to go on dates with agents and
That's what we're
drug
getting.
their food.
That's the next
and that's
set
what
of
we're about to
videos,
get to.
yeah,
Oh, Jesus.
Is encouraging
I just
women
wanted to clarify what that drug does, because temporary paralysis. And this is someone that's supposed to care for your sick grandmother.
She's a nurse. She I think she starts that one as just like all the nurses out there.
Yeah.
Like, go to your work and get the thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's keep playing.
Definitely legal.
Guys are going to have a chance to do something, not without risk, but could help the cause for sure. Get on Tinder, get on Hinge, find these guys. They're around. They're a nice agent. Bring some X-Lax and put it in their drinks.
All right, well, that one could be kind of funny.
Get them sick. Nobody's going to die. Just enough to incapacitate them, get them off the street for the next day. Highly, easily deniable. You could get sick too. Won't eat there again. I'm just saying.
Hurry it up, lady.
You get the vibe.
Yeah, the whole time I'm like, are you done?
She has been fired from her job as of today.
Yeah. Can't be doing that.
Why?
Yeah, she's in the resistance.
Hospital must not be down with the cause, man.
But Kyle, I bet she's single.
I don't want X-Lax in my drink.
I would love for there to be a reverse play where the next guy that goes on a date with her is like, I'm bringing some fucking X-Lax.
Oh, that's that chick.
Uno reverse card. Boom. Trigger.
Yes, anti-ice.
Resistance. Yeah.
Well, and this, I mean,
now she's just a professional protester now. I mean, she doesn't have a job anymore.
Well, that
she probably got scooped up.
Now I'm paying for her, her income.
Yep, all those grant funds.
Damn it.
Taxpayer dollars.
Just get a job with SEIU.
Yeah, right.
Ugh. Yeah.
All right. So the administration has weighed in on this, as we would expect.
And it gets worse. You know what I mean? It's already terrible. But then the administration has to come in and make everything worse.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, their response is so bad. I'm almost more mad at them than I am at the anti-ICE people at this point because they just bungled it so bad.
Would you say you're salty about it?
I'm staying salty.
I'm going to be honest. I feel like you guys are overreacting about this clip.
Well,
definitely not.
This one's the tamest version of it, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Listen, the entire country is talking about what happened this past weekend in Minnesota. You've already spoken about it. Everyone watching has seen the video. Everyone has an opinion. I'm curious what you thought when you first saw that video.
Well, I think the whole thing is terrible. I don't like the fact that he was carrying a gun that was fully loaded and he had 2 magazines with him, and it's pretty unusual. But nobody knows when they saw the gun, how they saw the gun, everything else. Bottom line, it was terrible. Both of them were terrible. The other...
Listen, the entire country is talking about...
I've seen another one of him saying, he's like going on to the helicopter or something, and he's saying you can't carry a gun.
Right.
Guys, I think that this is part of the agitprop right now. I don't think that he's putting a policy prescription on this right now. Is saying that it looks bad to be going up and confronting an officer when you have a gun on you like that.
That's fine if that was his intention, sure. But he's the president of the United States, and I know he's loose with his words all the time, but he needs to be really fucking careful about how he frames things, particularly around 2A, because whether or not he meant to say it... There's
no policy prescription here.
Whether or not he meant to say it, he's pissing off his base by saying this.
And empowering the gun grabbers who are now using these comments to try to gin up their support.
Yes.
Second to that,
we just got the left on board with Second Amendment rights. What are we doing here?
I actually think that it's this like to me this feels like a really strange freak out to me that I think is more so encouraging that. I think that you could just go a passerby on this, but I'm just seeing like I open up Twitter and everybody's like, "Oh my God, Trump's going to grab all the guns," and you're just like. No, that's
Kyle,
not what
No. It's about the media. It's about the impression it gets. It's about the fight over the ideas.
I think you guys are fueling the narrative with that.
You literally have people on the magazine saying he wasn't carrying his permit. We don't support. We support universal secure and carry, like
conceal and carry.
Conceal and carry.
Yeah.
Right. We're giving up a good position on guns for a New York Democrat's position on guns, which is that there's something very suspicious about carrying a gun with 2 magazines, a fully loaded gun. What is he supposed to do? Carry a gun that's not fully loaded? I load the gun. If I don't go out, I don't put it carries 9 rounds. I got to put it 6 today because I don't want to piss off fucking the Donald Trump. Come on. What is this rhetoric?
This just seems like such an over-exaggerated freak out to me.
I don't think it is, because this is consistent with Trump's past comments on guns. You remember when he said, take the guns first and then go to court later? This is consistent.
Yep.
This is consistent with Trump's position on guns. He's not pro-gun. He's not.
No, he never has been. He is there. He's in that position because he's in the Republican Party and he has to be.
Right.
So, and that's always been realistic. We've always known that about Trump. I'm not surprised by it.
No.
It's just, it's not just that too, Kyle. It's like the holistic picture. Kash Patel said that the guy was holding a gun in his hand and literally threatened officers with a gun. Like these others, like he's violently... wielding a gun or brandishing a gun around. Is like, that's not the video. That's not what I saw at all.
So I will actually say, like, that's something I will agree with you guys on the administration response, is that I think that they were overly, hyperbolic's not the right word, but it gets kind of the same thing, on kind of what happened in that scenario. Like, I would agree with that. let's play the Kash Patel clip. It's just this type of thing to me. On the previous clip that we just saw, just seems like such an overreaction to me. Like I totally understand on the Kash Patel side.
Have you seen the one where he's standing outside the chopper waiting to get on Marine One?
Probably. I've seen so many clips.
Okay. Well, it's far more deliberate than that. That one's very like measured and.
I'm playing the audio right now.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was me.
He says you can't have guns, you can't walk in with guns. It's a very unfortunate thing.
You can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns.
Yes, and
there's no mincing that. There's no saying he didn't mean what he said.
I think there is mincing that.
No,
actually.
there's not.
No, there isn't because well, I mean, at least to the point of the messaging war about guns, right? It makes us weak when our president is saying you cannot carry a gun to a protest when we've been carrying guns to protests forever. It is an American right to carry a gun to protest.
Yeah, grab a screenshot
if you're walking in to an altercation with an officer with a gun on you, you're going to cause extra chaos. I think that's all that clip of him is saying.
Hold on.
Right there.
If you're walking into an altercation with an officer, you're going to cause chaos.
Yeah, and if you have a gun, and if you have a gun on you, and your hand is like all over it, it's going to, and people are seeing that, and people are screaming gun, gun.
Yes.
Like you're escalating the situation with that. That's the problem here.
Yes, but again, this is the divide between was it wise behavior or was it legal behavior? It's legal to, carry a gun. Is it smart to walk up to an officer with the intent to cause a scene while you have a gun? Definitely not. But he's certainly within his rights to do it.
And if you're being detained by an officer,
Trump is not saying, like, none of those clips say whether or not he's making a legal prescription or a wisdom prescription on that. I'm electing to say that he's making a wisdom.
Say it's either.
I'm electing to say it's a wisdom prescription. I don't think you should walk in. Like, that's a fuck around and find out moment.
I think it's literally Trump talking. And so no one knows what he means. So that's just a typical thing where we're all trying to post hoc justify what he's saying. But there's no doubt, Kyle, in my mind, that the picture of the administration as a whole, I put in that one because it's the strongest one that is the most offendable Trump comment.
Sure.
Everything else from the administration is much worse than that.
Yeah.
For example, this Kash Patel one.
I mean, thousands of people are marching through Minneapolis. They are targeting the Border Patrol. I mean, it feels like the rhetoric and the protesting is only ramping up. What is your advice to the people right now who are outraged that this is a second killing at the hands of Border Patrol in 2 weeks?
As Christy said, you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence. We will, of course, always protect your First Amendment speech. And if you peacefully protest, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you have seen a trend here, not just in Minnesota, but across the country, in these protests turning into violent scenarios and people attacking law enforcement. That's when you go over the line, and that's when law enforcement steps in.
Well,
don't get me wrong, he interfered with law enforcement, but he did not attack them. The implication you would get if you would look at the rhetoric from the administration, from Kristi Noem to who's the guy who said that this guy was obviously out to assassinate somebody from the administration, to a whole bunch of other people from the administration, would have, if you hadn't seen the video, you'd be like, oh, this guy brought a gun and waved it around. It was like pointing at cops. And I don't even know if he reached for it. Like, that's very unclear, but he definitely wasn't trying to assault an officer as he sees the woman knocked to the ground, grabs her, and then puts his hand up as the officer is bearing down on him for God knows what reason. And I'm not saying
you're putting a lot of assumption on there, softening it.
Well, I think they are hardening it beyond reason from what I'm seeing. Right, I'm trying to be as fidelity as much. I would only benefit by saying that the officer was in the absolute right here. Right, I'm trying to be as fair to everybody as possible by saying that. And to me, it's for example, 2 magazines. Oh my God, 2 magazines. Everybody carries 2 magazines. Everyone does. 2 spare magazines. That is standard for many people who carry concealed.
Yeah, I love the carry dozens of rounds.
Yeah, right.
It's like, okay, well, one magazine fits usually at least 12 to 15.
Right.
So
unless you're in California.
In Massachusetts.
I'm going to disagree with you guys on this point. My general take on this whole thing is that this is being way over hyperbolized on how much of a tragic thing that Trump and them said this thing. I don't see the freak out on this. Seems like it's falling into agitprop to me.
So what is the downside of putting up a hard no to the administration saying you can't carry a gun to a protest? Like, where are the pro-gun people going wrong by criticizing the administration for saying that?
I think that this is a seed that you plant. This is just basic social engineering. This is a seed that you plant in order to divide people. By you way overemphasize what was said, and you hyperfixate on solo variables, and then you have all the people where they're like top 1 to 3 issues is gun rights on them. And it's like, see, they're really bad on this. They're really bad on this, and then you cause a division to happen. That's like very basic social engineering.
So you see it as fracturing the MAGA movement
intentionally
by peeling off the 2A people over a comment that you think is fairly innocuous.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That is really just kind of a like, you shouldn't go confront an officer who's in the middle of an altercation with a gun on you. Like that's a really dumb idea to do. Right?
I would not disagree with that at all.
Yeah. And in fact, one of the first things I said is like, I can't believe the guy didn't immediately see I'm a concealed carry holder, and immediately say that. If you're getting trade for conceal and carry, that was one of the first things you tell a police officer when you're talking to them if you're carrying. So, sir, I am lawfully carrying a firearm on my person. That is normal. The fact he didn't do that is a huge fuck up from that guy carrying the conceal, and that's his part of the underside.
Instead he kicks out taillights. Like that's instead what he does, right?
Yeah. Right.
Different situation, but like that is the character of the guy.
Isn't that a
right?
state thing too, though? You don't necessarily need to identify that.
It is a state thing. You don't need to in Minnesota, I believe.
Yeah,
I believe
so.
That's
Like he's not legally obligated to do that either.
Not on that. I'm thinking on. There was something that a lot of people were passing around on the conceal carry thing that got debunked as like a state law is not that, but it wasn't that one necessarily. I can't remember which piece of it was.
I don't know what Minnesota state is for that if you have to tell an officer, but not all states have that.
No, the thing was, a lot of people were pulling up laws of other states. Like California, it is in fact illegal to show up to a protest with a gun. Gavin Newsom signed that into law. It is not illegal to do that here. So like those types of statements that are coming from Kash Patel, that is technically not illegal in Minnesota code. So,
and this is, and from the Second Amendment people's point of view here, Kyle, and this might not be something that's very transparent to you, and we haven't covered it much on the podcast, but the Trump administration has done some pro-gun things, right? But has also, on the public facing side, but on the backside, on the court side, Pam Bondi's actions in court have been nothing but frustration to all the most radical, the best pro Second Amendment groups. They've been defending everything that you would not want them to defend, from the National Firearms Registration stuff to the silencer thing to all these other things. They have been consistently anti-Second Amendment across this. This is for a lot of those groups and a lot of people who actually pay attention to this, a straw breaking the camel's back on just not listening to the concerns of the gun community,
right,
and acting like their votes aren't worth it to just say he had why didn't Kash Patel say First and Second Amendment rights there? That's all he had to do.
Exactly. I noticed that as well. He said, we are definitely going to protect your First Amendment right, but you can't bring a gun to a protest.
Yeah, right.
Like, okay, hold on, wait.
It's kind of the
it's
implication.
Literally just the next one.
It's the totality of it. It's the forest, not the trees, of this individual circumstance for a lot of those groups and how they're reacting to it, because they really wanted Trump to be what he was saying when he about the Second Amendment, and then on the court side, he hasn't been.
Yeah. All right, moving on from that.
All right, so let's step back. So there has been actions. You might be listening to this, but David, nothing's happening now. There was a compromise, right? A big compromise, and actually just today, Tucker Carlson kind of revealed what the compromise was. So Trump administration said, I had a great conversation with Tim Walz, very nice guy on the phone. He says many mean things, but on the phone, he's very nice. And he swapped out the guy who was leading it, I forget his name now,
Bavino
in Minnesota, for Tom Holman.
Bavino.
The border czar is now in charge of Minnesota specifically as a new collaborator, and they're supposedly going to be now working together with the governments in Minnesota to address illegal immigration problems through a compromise of set of things that they're going to do differently to end the violence. Right? It's kind of the way that Tucker pitched it. Trump's really undersold it for whatever reason. Never had any real details to what it's going to be. For some reason, Tucker had to actually be the one to come out with it. I don't know why that is. And a lot of the rhetoric around this, the mainstream press says Trump is pivoting away from Minnesota because he's been so embarrassed there and all that kind of like rhetoric. I don't know how true that is. But there does seem to be some redeployments that there's some evidence of that, of less of the imported ICE agents from outside the state, but we still have an ICE presence there that will still continue to operate.
There's been like a reshuffling that's gone on.
Exactly, and you could definitely see, like, you know, for example, like the guys who shot that Pretti, like they're going on administrative leave and that they're going to have a new role and all that kind of stuff. So Tucker Carlson claims that the capitulation from Minnesota was that the jails will now respond to requests for deportation.
What does that mean?
That's huge, because most of ICE's work traditionally has been, hello? Oh, you have an illegal immigrant in your jail. I'll come by tomorrow. And they come by and pick them up and put them on a flight and fly them out. Right? That's how Obama deported 3 million people. Right? That's why there wasn't these conflicts and things like that, even though there are a part of the Democratic wing that was concerned back then. And you could find low-level protests and stuff like that, or like comms from pro-immigrant groups and things like that about Obama's deportation program. But most of it was done really behind the scenes, and most of it was done that way because you had red states cooperating, blue states, everyone was cooperating. So, you know, you could kind of see how by allowing that again in Minnesota, that would reduce some of the tensions and allow you to focus on what everyone where the most consensus is, which is if you've committed a heinous crime, we should deport you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think everybody can agree. We don't necessarily want ICE agents breaking down doors and going in and asking people for their papers. That's like purely un-American. But if you've gotten caught, committing a crime and you're in jail already, yeah, we want you gone. Especially if you're not a citizen, absolutely, get out of here.
The polling suggests, I think, that people want more of the door knocking.
But more than maybe we would think. But
sure.
But it's definitely more so.
I'm not personally into that idea, right? I mean, but granted, a lot of criminals don't get caught, particularly, in these sanctuary cities like Seattle, where maybe the cops have stopped even responding to crimes because they put them in jail and they get released the next day.
Exactly. It's like that video we saw of the guy near Target. You're like, that guy's not a hardened criminal. He's a guy being shitty,
Right.
like why are we using our time on this? And then there's also just like the trade-off, right? You have a lot of illegal immigrants. How do you prioritize? Well, everyone kind of agrees that the prioritization really at the top should be. Everything below that's questionable, but the top being if you have committed a real crime, you should be deported right away.
And I know Schellenberger was reporting the number of, he was on Tucker today as well. He was reporting the number of 67% are, that have been deported so far have been criminals, like criminals beyond just being an illegal. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we continue to tighten that up, but 67 is a pretty good range of what we're seeing right now.
Mm-hmm. Of mostly doing the high priority stuff. Oh God,
7.
Don't do that. All right, so the next, we're getting that Gen Z audience.
That's right.
6, 7. Yeah. All right, so
didn't even think about that.
Minnesota will now respond to ICE calls for help.
Good.
Yeah, right. That's completely reasonable.
Because I think that makes a ton of sense when you get a small number of cops surrounded by a bunch of protesters making a bunch of noise and they can't carry out their job, effectively. That's when bad shit happens.
Right. And then the protesters are literally going up against their own PD rather than a bunch of people from all over the country who don't know where they are or these people or whatever.
Right.
Next is and will do so even when they're off duty, right? That's like the hotel situation where they called for protection of the hotel and they just didn't show up to protect a hotel in the town that they are supposed to be protecting.
Right.
Right. And they literally wiped out the first floor of that hotel. It's a completely vandalized.
Oh yeah. You could see behind those two officers, the guy who had his hand bitten. It was chaos in there.
Yep. Mostly peaceful protests.
Mostly peaceful.
We're in the same, it's 2020 all over again.
And what Tim Walz gets out of it is ICE will reduce its presence. So we're probably going to see a reduction in those deployment troops.
Which also makes sense because if theoretically the law enforcement is helping with them, you don't need as much of the overwhelming force. Like a big reason for the numbers was because they were being ordered down by the mayor to not help ICE, Mayor Frey or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I do wonder about that. Why Minnesota? Why this? Because 3,000 officers in Texas could do a lot more deportations per day with cooperative state governors and localities than in Minnesota.
Well, we are in other states.
I know, but these deployment officers, what I'm talking about, right? If we're in Minnesota, we're not someplace else. They only have a certain number at any given time, and they're deploying a certain fraction of them saying, hey, do you want to go on a deployment? And all the new guys are like, hell yeah. And then they go to Minnesota. And that was chosen, right? That was targeted.
But I think part of the reason for that is because of the non-compliance that is coming from the state. Like Texas is complying. Liberal city of Austin is complying very well.
Well, there's a various different things that you could speculate being the reason for that. One of them being that you get a very public fight between a known Democrat that people don't like, Tim Walz, and Donald Trump, and then you get a good media cycle hopefully out of it. Second to that, you get the confrontation kind of has its own advantages for exciting your own base. If you're saying, no, you're trying to keep me out, I'm going to go in anyways, right? That sort of thing has its own value.
Yeah.
That said, it doesn't have a lot of value when it comes to the actual net deportation numbers, right? Because you're just impeded. You can't go to the jail and sweep up a bunch of guys all at once. You have to get them one at a time in the street with a lot of opposition.
Yeah.
So, those were the trade-offs, and they picked that trade-off, I think, pretty clearly. That was a choice, not like just something that happened.
Well, the jail thing is easier too. Like these are the more difficult deportations to be had.
Yeah.
But that's also one of the reasons, and you kind of alluded to this on the Obama thing. Like one of the big reasons why the Obama deportation numbers and the Biden deportation numbers are so big is because, well, more so Obama, I guess, is because a lot of the border shutdown has stopped a lot of the easy deportations to be had.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the focus now is more like the embedded illegal immigrant populations right now.
So another one is this Cato Institute study that 95% of the illegal immigrant problem is actually in the biggest red states, not the Democrat states. And
Texas, Arizona.
Yes. And a lot of that
Florida.
is an interesting phenomena of one of the reasons why you might pick the blue states, Kyle. This is the least favorable, but it's you could see it from a power politics point of view. You reduce the population, you reduce the census, you reduce their political power.
Oh, interesting.
Well, and there is on politics power gaming here, Minnesota is the only state that has not gone red in a century.
On any
just on the president, that was the one state that Reagan lost in his 49 state sweep.
Yeah,
right, was Minnesota. Minnesota is traditionally the most liberal when it comes to, maybe not from per capita, maybe not, because you have places like Maine and stuff like that, but when it comes to just the history of it, it never goes Republican.
Right. The North Midwest has a unique history with all that kind of stuff, and Wisconsin too for its own reasons. But anyways, I do think it's in terms of the value might not be in raw deportation numbers. It could be strategic and have more to do with undermining political clout amongst the Democrats.
This is jumping a slight bit ahead because I do want to talk a bit about the Ilhan Omar stuff, but Ilhan Omar, because I want to talk about the assault on her, but one thing that she said is that she's coming forward with the narrative that this is more about rigging the election. The Republicans are coming to rig the election of Minnesota. She's claiming that Pam Bondi's letter to the governor stated this, basically, that you have to hand over all voter rolls. And there is some truth to this. I don't know, it is one of those things where it's depends which angle you're looking in on it, where in the letter, there was 3 core demands that were given to the governor. It was share records to share records to aid the feds in fraud investigation. There was repealing sanctuary policies, and then getting Minnesota's voter practices to comply with the Civil Rights Act of 1960. So those were 3 core demands that were in there for the compromise, which apparently, my understanding is this is something that Governor Walz is kind of complying with here.
That might not be part of what was agreed with Trump more recently.
We'll see.
Yeah, because this was a little while ago, right? This was, I guess.
No, it was a few days ago.
But this is the official Pam Bondi.
Well, this is one of those things where it's I don't know what the official negotiations are in this.
We don't really.
We have compromises that are being made between the two parties.
I suspect
Tim
Walz is not going to be indicted on my bingo card.
Yeah, we did all have that. Maybe Ilhan Omar. I think I just saw something about there's criminal investigation on her right now, but we'll see. But just to go into what you say, there is that narrative that is coming forward in all of this.
What's up with the voter rolls going on over there? So do you want to get into the numbers, or do you want to continue with Ilhan here?
We might as well jump to the Ilhan Omar stuff
before
we get into the polling. This is a jam-packed episode, guys. But
we told you it's the mega Minnesota episode.
Well, it is one of these things where because the things like the Nick Shirley stuff and all that happened while we were on break over the holidays.
Yeah.
That's when all that dropped. So we've never really talked about those things. So in all seriousness, but last night at the time of recording this,
Tuesday night,
Ilhan Omar was assaulted, quote unquote. It's kind of weird. I'm going to show you the kind of basis of the video right here.
Cooled off,
sprayed upon.
She got cooled off.
Of the agency. ICE cannot be reformed. It cannot be rehabilitated. We must abolish ICE for good.
That's it. The guy is kind of twitchy, isn't he?
And DHS Secretary.
Oh, yeah, this guy right here, sorry for audio only listeners, but for the visual side, this is the guy that does it. Front and center in the
Kristi
audience.
Noem must resign or face impeachment.
Right.
Oh, yeah, she put her dukes up, didn't she?
I don't know.
And just, we won't play the whole thing, but a guy comes up and is like, you got to go. You don't know what was sprayed upon. And she's like, no, I'm finishing this thing. So that's kind of where it was left off.
Yeah. She had something sprayed on her.
Apparently, it was apple cider vinegar.
Do we know that? What's the source on that? I'm very curious.
That's what I've seen people saying. It is one of those things where you would almost think, as a member of Congress, you've probably been through the whole security rigmarole, and you would think, be like, is that anthrax? Is that Ebola? You know, like,
yeah.
Is that urine?
Is that urine? Is that pig's blood? That is a common thing that happens is protesters coming and trying to give like dump pig's blood on congressmen and stuff like that.
Yeah, Forbes, a whole bunch of places are reporting apple cider vinegar. So it must have some legs to the theory.
He's like, your microbiome is out of whack. Here,
I believe they tested it. I believe they tested it on her clothes after the fact.
Wait, what was that thing that lady said about something about syringes and was it paralyzing juice?
Was it paralyzing juice?
Was it? He just didn't do the instructions. He's like, I'll just spray with it. It's good enough. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's one of these things where now a lot of online speculation has come out thinking that this is staged. Is it staged? I don't know.
It's so ham-handed. It's so badly.
It is strange.
It's weird.
There's elements where I could. Game theory. If I was a protester on this, one of probably the best game theory things that you could do is actually have somebody go in, not telling her because you want her surprise reaction, and going in and doing something that's non-lethal, non-harmful in order to spark something. That would be one way to do it. Is there any evidence of that? Right now, I think everybody's just going on vibes. Like, I'm not going to stake a claim. It was like, this is totally staged.
And obviously, we're happy she's okay, and it wasn't like a real threat to her health and well-being.
Oh, yeah,
that's. I mean, no one wants congressmen being hurt, but it's kind of insane that this guy got up and sprayed her with apple cider vinegar. And that's the story.
There is a weird thing before her speech. There's a point where they take the C-SPAN footage and just zoom in on this guy, and he's like drinking his Fiji water, and he's looking very drunk. There is that element of it too. You're just like, but like, there's no way C-SPAN's in and all. You know, it's one of those things, right?
But it looks like a just so kind of thing. Like it just so that he's there and they've zoomed
front
in
row,
on him.
front and center, right? A lot of people are thinking that she gave a kind of a nod to him. Like it's almost kind of like, I'm going to say this line: Kristi Noem should resign and be replaced or whatever. And then she gives let me just back up so you can see
Noem must resign or face impeachment.
People think that.
Oh, that's a weird little.
People think that head nod was her signaling him.
That's weird.
I don't know.
Why would you signal him? It's like,
well, if anything, it's like there's going to be this line. Use it when I say this line.
I know, but
that would be the thing.
Still,
but I don't know
why. Like, just do it at some point. Makes more and more sense.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are overstepping.
Yeah, this is some weird conspiracy shit.
Her thought.
Yeah.
Hold up. Let me finish.
He didn't interrupt. If it's an assassination attempt, I mean, it's way more polite than Trump's, assassination attempt.
Yeah. Maybe that's why Trump's so anti-gun.
So, some information about what we know about this guy. So, a lot of the reporting coming from, say, the New York Times and Wall Street Journal and places like that, they're reporting on that he has this history of extremist right-wing social media accounts. And all of the articles I looked through had no screenshots of his social media stuff. Actually, more so what I'm seeing when I look online are things like these images where I'm seeing him being very pro-Ukraine. Apparently, like allegedly, I think this is his trans daughter or something. So he has much more of like a liberal footprint from everything that I've seen thus far, but that is open to change. Like this person that he's with here, Drew. Like this is his last name, so I'm under the assumption that this is his kid. He has an ex-wife that is a big lefty activist and major Omar supporter too. He has a lot of he has a criminal history too of auto theft and multiple DUI arrests. His neighbors have claimed that he had a spinal injury last year in a car crash, and he got diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he's heavily medicated, which would go alongside. There is a element here of like, maybe this is like suicide by there's that angle, but like he's not doing it,
But it's apple cider vinegar. You're just left with like, what was the plan?
I don't know.
But it does kind of look like a crazy guy plan, Like wait a minute. I know it. He thinks she's a vampire and had garlic in the apple cider vinegar. He's like, I'll get you this time, Dracula.
I was looking into if there's some
what was the plan?
I was looking into if there's some like Somalian ties with apple cider vinegar, but it didn't really seem like anything was coming out.
Something that there is Somali ties is that a lot of people have been posting an image of him who he apparently has since his ex-wife apparently has a dating history with a Somali girl too.
So did he just mistake her for?
I don't know.
His date?
I don't know what it is.
Like a date with that woman.
That's one of those things.
To her brother.
That's
Damn, she looks familiar.
That's one of those things.
She dumped me for her bro. I'm so pissed.
Rumors.
That's one of those things where that's one of those things where I've seen no confirmation on who the Somali woman is that he's seen in a lot of pictures with. I was asking AI, I couldn't find any. Just there's a lot of people speculating that he has a dating history of that. So I don't know. But and then there was another Ilhan Omar thing that broke this morning. Benny Johnson did this whole big reporting on basically exposing that she has this wine company that gets like $20 million or something to that level that doesn't exist.
Is $20 million in revenue?
Don't be suspicious. I'll pull the clip right here, and we can see just like the beginnings of it. I don't want to go through the entire thing because of time, but So the winery name is Est Cru LLC. In 2023, it was valued at $15K. At 2024, it was valued at $5 million.
Damn.
And this is something that she's taken income out of. And he did a bunch of calling. He called the location. He did and nobody picks up. It's just the line is perpetually busy. He tried like 10 times throughout the day. He looked for it on Google Maps, and in the address, it's not that. So it's this very strange, and also there's a clear lack of information on the website about like how to buy things and stuff like that. It's all very vague. So it's one of those things where like it appears to be some sort of shell company of sorts. But
it's like she wanted to get in on the daycare fraud, but she's like wanted to do it a little classier. So she's like, I'm going to start a winery that doesn't exist. That's great.
How do you get government subsidies for wineries though? How do you get a $5 million value? Like, because $5 million in this case is how much they've claimed they earned and are paying taxes on.
I mean, it could be some sort of like USDA grant stuff. I mean, you'd have to look at their books and stuff to know, but there are ways for producers to get grants from the government.
I saw Benny say that this is a kind of work in progress story, and he has a bunch more stuff that he's going to be releasing over the next few days. So we'll see where that pans out. But that was just something that happened this morning.
Wow.
But just kind of going in with all the Ilhan Omar drama here, that is kind of where we're at.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Minnesota is a clusterfuck.
Yeah, Jesus.
If I may say.
It is just wild up there.
Really sorry to hear for all of you normal people in Minnesota.
We should trade with Canada. Give us Alberta. You can have Minnesota.
Yeah.
That's a great trade.
Absolutely.
I'll take that trade.
I mean, Minnesota is the state of hockey, so they would love it.
Everybody I've ever met from Minnesota is just like, your accent is more Canadian than actual Canadians I know.
True that.
Quite true.
All right, so we want to dive into the numbers. Let's ask the big question, which is it all working? Is the deportations working? Is it becoming unpopular? What's the story here? Look back. What is society thinking about this? And are we actually, is he achieving his goal? That's really the question.
So close.
So this is an interesting one. What he did is that he adjusted for the total population of illegal aliens per state by the amount of violent ICE confrontations. Which is, So if you go, that's why the numbers, 20 incidents for Minneapolis is a lot because there's not a lot of illegal immigrants there. Well, Portland, less there, but that could be explained by the amount of ICE agents and the amount of operations happening. San Francisco, much larger population. 16%, and then it kind of trickles down. So an interesting violent confrontations per 1,000 illegal aliens.
Well, I mean, it looks like Chicago is the most efficient so far. We've got, actually, I suppose all other counties are the most efficient, maybe, but specifically Chicago, 29 incidents with only 7.9% here on this chart. That's not bad. Or 7.9 incidents per 1,000.
And that might be a good case.
Chicago's a war zone for its own reasons.
Quite true.
Yeah.
Quite true.
I did see a clip of the Chicago mayor saying that white people in America don't realize that they lost the Civil War and they're trying to reignite it again. That was a clip that was going a little viral today.
That's weird.
White Americans? I mean, he does know that.
Who fought on the Union side?
Yeah. History lesson. Maybe good for that guy.
The right has not accepted the results of the Civil War was his exact quote.
The right. Oh, so he must have forgotten that it was Democrats that started the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, cool. Nice.
Ku Klux Klan was largely a union movement. It was about all these new citizens taking jobs. That is kind of the origins of the Ku Klux Klan.
Cartels and cults all the way down.
All the way.
Yeah. So we also have some polling about how, obviously, and this isn't too surprising, but I think it is compelling, especially as a narrative for the election cycle, about how Latinos are orientating towards the ICE raids.
At Trump's net approval rating among Latinos. You know, you go back a year ago, right at the beginning of his first term, wasn't too bad, right? About 5 points underwater. A lot of Republicans would really like that. But take a look where we are today. Over a 20-point decline, now down to negative 28 points, Donald Trump's net approval rating among Latinos. A much larger drop we've seen among Latinos than we have seen among the American electorate
That's a little
overall.
Much. They kind of like doing like the football
what
thing.
What about the deportation?
He's got to justify his salary by doing something.
Yeah, right.
He's got to point and talk. He's got to use the screen. They got
just
this new
read the
toy.
numbers.
No.
Yeah, right. At least you could like make it like more interesting. Than just
That's true.
Was there more on this clip that we wanted before?
No, that's good. Yeah.
Because it was interesting where I saw Rasmussen quote tweeted exactly that clip. And they were saying that
complete crap.
Yeah, why push this shit? Hispanic Trump approval last week is 54% to 45% or +9.
Wow, that's a big difference too.
And yeah, because I believe that was a YouGov poll. I think is the one that they were reporting on there.
Yeah. So the battle of the pollsters, but that's crazy. I mean, if he's still up with Latinos, that's a big difference.
And that's been, I know.
Maybe one controlled for illegals and the other one didn't.
That was kind of my thought.
Are you a citizen? Are you a
I mean, that's a tough question to ask and get an accurate answer, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and also these same people, I think different day, but they also were doing other reporting, which was just general, not Latino vote or anything like that, but general sentiment around deportations and deportations versus like having like primarily criminals and all this stuff too. And this type of polling to me suggests much more in line with the Rasmussen poll than it does that YouGov poll. But here is this.
Yeah, sometimes I like blunt questions because they sort of get at the underlying feelings that people have. So this is about as blunt a question as you can get. Deport all immigrants here illegally. I will note the ABC News poll asked about undocumented immigrants. So we have slightly different questions, but these
Marco
were all
Rubio
taken within the last month.
for CNN.
And there's real...
Here, I'll just explain this polling here.
I can't stay.
Is they asked deport all immigrants here illegally, and different groups. At New York Times had 55%, Marquette 64%, CBS News 57%, ABC News 56%.
Uniform.
And then they move into down the road. They're asking for various questions. In 2024 of deporting all undocumented immigrants among adults. 2024 it's 56%. And there's also that's a very lefty encoded word, undocumented immigrants. Right. That's not something that you're going to hear right wingers using that term. And then coming into, was this the...
That's decreased total levels, legal and illegal.
Yeah, decreasing entire, all immigration. And
highest levels since 9/11 aftermath.
Wow. Yeah. It's 55% in 2024 is what they're looking at there. But that's going back to, obviously...
The election cycle.
Yeah, election cycle.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see these bump up and down based upon the news cycle. So,
Sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So is it working? Well, I mean, I definitely think this whole redeployment is wise from the perspective of you could get bigger numbers, more cooperation, and you could even focus on blue states where you'll probably get more efficient rounds of numbers. Invest in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. Maybe you can you can better hide what you're doing amongst the larger population. I don't know. At least in incidents per capita.
Yeah.
For you might be able to gain for illegal immigration. And then, but the American people still largely behind it. Maybe. You think that's what the polls say?
I think that who this really hurts in the polling is the white college educated woman. I think that's who this is hurting, but that's not
like that nurse.
It's
that
the
nurse
Karen
that we saw, right?
It's the Karen, right? Like I think a lot of Americans remember 2020 and the summer of love, and they're feeling similar vibes here.
Yeah.
I think that you do have, because like everybody that I see really hyper complaining about it are kind of these like moderate lefty gobbledygook kind of characters. They're the ones that are really raising the alarms a lot online. It's people like Jason Calacanis from All In Podcast. It's like those types of people, if you know that reference.
Yes.
It's like those types are the ones that are really driving the hysteria for it. I'm not seeing kind of like just the average person that I know. They're kind of just like, yeah, it shows much more in line with these polls.
Yeah. That said, we're sitting about, as far as for Republicans, we're sitting around, if you want to go to the Rasmussen poll, if you go to party, we're sitting about, 80% for Republicans, of course, but your other 43% are strongly disapproved. And it's the strength. Oftentimes when you look at these kind of polls that say strongly, somewhat, the aggregate matters, but what really matters the most when it comes to base support, when it comes to the long term, because you're somewhat will bounce back and forth, but your strong is what indicates your voting public and is where you build your base from, right? Strategically thinking. So the amount of people who are independent, other nonpartisan at 43% is pretty substantial. That's not a good thing. That said, there's a lot of people in that strongly do support at 24, but it's just not in numbers wise that great. When you look at the moderates, it's at 54% on the far right there. That's a pretty tough one when it comes to winning elections for the midterms.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that strongly disapprove overall at 43%. That's something to be said, that it isn't going well for the Trump administration and in supporting the deportations.
Well, and I imagine on the conservative side, when I'm just looking at ideologically, the people that are somewhat approve, it probably is something that's maybe more akin to, like, say, your stance that you were taking, Joe, of like you would like to kind of reduce the, I don't know, how would you describe that?
I mean, I'd like to prioritize the violent criminals, the people that are clearly not making any effort whatsoever to adjust well to society and making life worse for everyone.
And we already know that that's already the priority of the administration, although not, and that's what they've said there is a priority. But also we have this interesting moment where Trump has also said that, hey, we're not going to go after hospitality and farm workers. And that sort of compromise that's going on and those political realities, I don't think that's really in the dominant imagination at the moment, right? So people are only seeing this as, and they're seeing, people protesting and then maybe getting pushed around, and that's not good for coverage, right? So keeping it more low key might be wise.
Yeah, for sure.
And that could lead the numbers in a more positive direction over time.
I could see it.
If you're just coming out saying, and all people see is we put this many murders away and this many, you know what I mean? That's a much better media cycle for you. Or if you say you put up big deportation numbers of people that are the least desirable, which would be the criminals, then you're in a better position.
100%.
Yeah.
All right.
That was thorough.
That concludes our Minnesota Megathon.
Hopefully I never have to think about Minnesota ever again.
I love Minnesota personally. The Lakes Country, it's beautiful. And the people up there, really wonderful. So we hate to rag on you guys. We're sorry to see what's going on there, and we hope it gets better. And
at least you're not Arkansas.
Bennett said it, not me. Never been to Actually, I have been to Arkansas.
I've driven through it.
Beautiful state.
I think I've been there.
Beautiful state. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching tonight. Another episode of Human Reaction. On behalf of David Rand, Kyle Mack, and Bennett on the Buttons in his last episode with us here in studio before he moves away to a new assignment to be someone else's embedded CIA agent. We'll miss him dearly, and I just want to say right now, in front of you, Bennett, to make you blush, we love you, we appreciate you, and we will still have him. We'll still have him on the other end of our virtual podcast. So he's not going away entirely, but we will miss having you around. and bring in whiskey every once in a while.
The sound effects game is going to go way down from here.
The sound effects game is going to take some adjusting, but look, we are going to come back.
You don't say that.
Bigger and better. We're going to build back better.
Build back better.
Build back better with Bennett.
Yeah.
Well, it will like
without Bennett.
But I'll be on the other end, and so
Everything's computer.
Okay, that's good.
Wait, what was the other one?
It's reassuring.
Yeah.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
This is true. Bigger and better, more Bennett things.
I don't know when
coming in the
when
future.
you said you loved him, he missed out on a perfect opportunity for gay.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Well, we'll have to make sure you have a good internet connection over there because you're going to need to be snappy with those sound effects. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. It's been Human Reaction. We will see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in to Human Reaction. Please be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and give us a review on your podcast platform of choice. And if you want to become a member and support the show financially, check out humanreactionpod.com. And remember,
can we go back to the text? It's kind of fucked up. Helping them get back on their feet.
Oh.